Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Checkpoint XP on campus. I'm your host, Norris Howard, alongside Jacob Brothers coming to us all the way from Las Vegas. Jacob, what it do?
It is very hot here.
I believe you. It's pretty chill here. I got no complaints. But Checkpoint XP on campus, your number one resource for collegiate esports. Don't forget, you guys, to like and subscribe to all of our cool stuff where you can get all of our shows. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow the Twitch, all that good stuff, twitch.tv/checkpointxp. But we're going to lead off this show and talk a little bit about actual gamer legislation that was trying to get passed in the House of Representatives here in the United States. Now, this bill was put forth by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, put this forward because there was a major controversy from the U.S. Army actively recruiting and having a presence on Twitch. Now, this bill was put forth and ultimately it failed. It didn't get enough votes to move up to the Senate and get to the president's desk. But this is an interesting look as to how legislation is going to be changing with a new generation coming in, because I can almost guarantee nobody in Congress outside of maybe 5 people knows what Twitch actually is.
1,000%. No question. But, well, this story itself is really interesting because, like, it was brought up for the controversy, but, like, kind of like the inner controversy was, like, the sweepstakes that was, like, happening, where it was like, you know, if you sign this application, dear 12-year-old, you can maybe get an Xbox Elite controller, too. And then they'd, like, go onto the forum, and it's like, there's no information about the sweepstakes and winning chances, and this is kind of weird. And so then Twitch was like, yeah, this can't be a thing. And so it's interesting how, like, that sparked it. But I get both sides of the argument, I think. I don't know where you personally stand on it.
Well, I mean, I think where it's really important to understand is that, AOC's original argument was that, Twitch is largely, quote unquote, largely populated by children well under the age of military recruitment age. And I think that's very important. However, I can remember in elementary school having servicemen and women visit my elementary school and talk about the armed forces. I remember in high school and in college that there were recruitment officers that would visit the campus and talk to you about potentially serving in the armed forces. And so, I personally think while it is not in and of itself controversial for the U.S. Army to either be on Twitch or even recruit on Twitch, I think the sweepstakes aspect of what was going on there, as well as I'm going to be frank, people actively talking about, maybe some of the more unsavory things that the U.S. Armed Forces has gotten into, and them, banning people from chat, which, as the Army, as a branch of government, you cannot trample on people's First Amendment rights. You don't have to answer them, but you can't ban them from chat for asking the questions.
Yeah, I think, because, like, I also, going to elementary school, and my way up, I was talking to people from the military, but, like, those messages are geared for that audience, right? Like, when they're talking to a group of 5th graders, they know they're talking to a group of 5th graders. While on Twitch, those 13-year-olds are just getting that message that's designed for the adult audience, where it's like, enroll today, do this today. And so I think the concern there is fair, where it's just like, these 13-year-olds are being exposed to these 18-year-old pitch ideas consistently through a stream. And, like, sure, you could go to a different stream, but, like, that's not really the right answer to the situation. And
no,
yeah.
I absolutely agree with that, actually. I absolutely agree with the fact that, because of, not being able to verify the ages of everybody on your Twitch channel, that maybe an active recruitment is not the best thing to do on a Twitch channel. Now, again, I don't have any issue with the U.S. Army having a Twitch presence because they have a basketball team, they have a football team, they have other traditional sports teams. So if the Army wants to create an esports team and stream on Twitch and all that good stuff, I don't think that there is anything inherently wrong with that. However, where I do take umbrage with is the concept that people are not able to interface or not able to ask questions of the armed forces. I think that is a very slippery slope. I think it's dangerous to either ban people from chat or to actively ignore those folks. And that just is the risk you run when you put yourself in a public forum. So if I'm the U.S. Army or any branch of the armed forces, I may be thinking twice on should we stream on Twitch, because we're going to get confronted with a lot of tough questions. And I'm not sure if the Army is necessarily prepared to deal with that. But Jacob, I want to ask you something as a college student. You know, knowing that there's, you know, Army recruitment presences on campus, you know, when we were on campus and in person.
Back in the day.
Outside of the age factor, let's remove the age factor out of it. How is this different from a recruitment officer on campus at a university? How to you is this different?
I think the easy way is because when you're talking to someone who's trying to recruit you, you're asking the questions, or like it's very personal because they're trying to recruit you in that conversation. So it's like, say, like I wanted to be a veterinarian back in the day, and so when I was talking to a recruit officer, he was like, "Oh, well, vets do X, Y, and Z in the military, and they, you know, dogs and blah blah blah." And if you're just watching a stream, you can't ask questions really. And so I think it's the lack of a personal connection, because that's how people get interested, is like they show expressive interest in you and answer your questions and how you fit in the military. And that's usually what gets people's interest. So when you're just watching Call of Duty and they're like, hey, sign to this forum and shoot the guns in real life. And it's like, do I want to do that? It's also a lack of information because you're not able to ask those questions.
Right. No, I think that's really important. And to be fair, you're absolutely right. Being in the armed forces is a lot more than just shooting guns. There's a lot of jobs that go across a lot of fields in the armed forces. And I agree with you. I think that is a really slippery slope when you can't ask the questions on just where you personally could fit in the armed forces. But I do want to end with this, is that if you are in the armed forces or you got family in the armed forces, we want to thank you all for your service, and we want to make sure that we take care of our veterans, but not sure if Twitch is the place for us to do that. So we want to thank you guys for your service and everything that you do to protect our freedoms.